Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to another episode of 30 Years Ago, this month. Okay, now I know if you're watching this when this is coming out, technically it's not June yet. It is still May, but it's almost June, and so whatever. We're talking about shit that happened 30 years ago. Get off my back, dude. But yes, here we are again to talk about all of the things that I deemed worthy to talk about that happened 30 years ago this month, well, in June of 1993. There's a lot to talk about today. We even have a news item to talk about today. News! Okay, so anyway, on June 7th, 1993, a very important thing happened that a lot of people still kind of make jokes about today in some form or fashion. I guess maybe if you're my age or maybe a little bit younger, you still make jokes about it. Younger people may not know what the fuck you're talking about. But June 7th, 1993 was the day that Prince changed his name from Prince to a symbol. Had something to do with record contract bullshit that was going on with him. And he just said, well, you're not going to own me anymore because I'm not Prince. I'm this symbol, which is unpronounceable, which just led to everybody calling him the artist formerly known as Prince. And that went on to I think 2000 or 2001 or something where he started going by Prince again. But for a long time, he was the artist formerly known as Prince. Or rest in peace to the formerly alive artist who is currently still known as Prince. Now moving on to the music charts. As usual, we talk about the albums that were number one in the music charts in America. And for June of 1993, the entire month was dominated not by the Bodyguard soundtrack. No, it was dominated by Janet Jackson's fifth album, which was called Janet. Pretty damn good album. I'm very happy with this one being number one for the month of June. I don't think it's as good as Control or Rhythm Nation, but, still pretty damn good. And so now that leads us to everybody's favorite segment of the show.
The Hot 10.
That's right, the Hot 10. The 10 most popular songs from the Billboard Hot 100 for this particular month of June. And we always look at the charts for the first week of the month that we are in. So this would be, I think it was the 5th or 6th of June, 1993. Here are the top 10 songs. Coming in at number 10, we've got Inner Circle with Bad Boys, what you gonna do? What you gonna do when I come for you? The theme from Cops. Coming in at number 9, we have Rod Stewart with Have I Told You Lately That I Love You? At number 8, this is an interesting one. It is Show Me Love by Robin S. And I went to listen to this song because I'm like, I think I know this song. And it turns out there are two songs called Show Me Love. One is by Robin S. and one is by Robin with a Y that came out several years later. And that's the one I thought it was. But this one is like a weird house music kind of thing. It's like, you can't really sing. Like the lyrics and vocals are not the hook of the song. I think the hook is the little electronic part that goes boop, 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 boop. You got to show me love. That's like the whole song. Number 7, my homies PM Dawn still here, sticking around in the top 10 with I Hope You Look at Me Through Patient. Oh, that's not good at all. I hope you look at me through patient eyes. It's as good as we're gonna get. At number 6, we have SWV, Sisters with Voices, with I'm So Into You. I don't know what I'm gonna do. At number 5, still here, and I'm still not willing to go listen to it, Vanessa Williams and Brian McKnight with Love Is from Beverly Hills 90210. I got so bored just saying that. Number 4, Sisters with Voices show up twice in the top 10 with Can't Explain Why Your Lovin' Makes Me Weak. Both of those are classic fucking 90s R&B songs, man. I didn't realize they were top 10 at the same time. Kudos to them. At number 3, we have H-Town, which means Houston. They are from the town that I live in. And their smash hit song, of course, was Somebody Rockin' Knockin' the Boots. Somebody rockin', knockin' the boots. Ding, ding. Okay, I'm gonna get a copyright strike for that one. Number 2, Silk, still in the fucking charts with, 'cause tonight, baby, I wanna get freaky with you. Just let him get freaky, for Christ's sake. And finally, number 1, Miss Janet Jackson with That's the Way Love Goes. That is a fucking great song. Very worthy of that number 1 spot, if you ask me. All right, moving on to what was in the theaters. What were the number 1 movies in June of 1993? For the first week of June in 1993, a movie we talked about last month, Cliffhanger, with Sylvester Stallone. Love that fucking movie. But it couldn't stay number 1 forever, especially when it was dealing with fucking Jurassic Park, which was number 1 for the rest of June 1993. Now look, I saw that movie when it came out. I liked it a lot. Over the years, I'm not one of those people that's been a Jurassic Park fan. Like, I never saw any of the other movies, and I never really wanted to. I feel like they said all they needed to say with the first one. But it doesn't matter, because even though I did enjoy that movie, there was only one movie, and this movie was not number 1, and it was a box office bomb, but the only movie that I cared about seeing in June of 1993 was... That's right, on June 18th, the movie Last Action Hero was released, and I loved it then. I love it now. I don't understand why it didn't do well in the box office. Maybe because everybody was going to see fucking dinosaurs, but whatever. The movie lives on in my heart, and this is not the last time you will hear me mention that movie on this episode. Album releases! That's right, it's time for the segment of the show where we talk about the albums that were released in this month, June of 1993. On June 4th, whenever they're indie releases, it's always a weird day. Like, all albums came out on Tuesdays, but I guess when you were an indie, you put it out whenever you wanted to put it out, and this one came out on Lookout Records, the debut album from the punk band Tilt, Play Cell. This is probably in my top 10 of, I guess you'd call it pop punk. It's very energetic, but this is probably in my top 10 of 90s pop punk albums that could be referred to as pop punk. Okay, old head, we get it. But yeah, this is like, it's really energetic and a lot of fun, a lot of really cool songs on this album. I believe they toured as an opener for Green Day when they were touring for Dookie. So it was like they got a good amount of exposure, but fortunately they did not blow up the way that Green Day did. But there you go. There's the band right there. Cinder Block, vocalist. And fucking great album, Tilt, Play Cell. All right, on June 8th, 10 full days before the movie was released, the best soundtrack of all time, according to me, came out, the Last Action Hero soundtrack. I mean, it is chock full of fucking great songs. I did a whole video on this soundtrack, a Vinyl Thoughts video. I'll post a link in the video description. But come on, AC/DC, Big Gun, Alice in Chains, What the Hell Have I, Megadeth, Angry Again, Queensryche, Real World, Def Leppard, Two Steps Behind, Anthrax, Poison, My Eyes, holy fucking shit, Aerosmith, Dream On. It's a live version. It's still pretty good. Alice in Chains, A Little Bitter, 2 fucking unreleased Alice in Chains songs on the same soundtrack. I get so excited talking about the soundtrack. Cypress Hill, Cock the Hammer, Fishbone, Swim, Tesla, Last Action Hero, still a good song, but I would say if there's a weak one on the album, it's that one, and it's still a fucking good song. And of course you have Michael Kamen with Buckethead doing music from the movie. I think it's the song you heard in that clip earlier, but god damn it, I love this soundtrack, and I think a lot of other people do too. And I don't remember how much I paid for this vinyl, but it was worth it. But like I said, great movie. Arnold's amazing in it.
He's fantastic. This is his best performance ever.
And it's my favorite soundtrack of all time. Let's move on. June 22nd, Covenant by Morbid Angel. When this album came out, it was my favorite death metal album by far, and Morbid Angel was my favorite death metal band at the time. I believe this is still considered the best-selling death metal album of all time. That's not platinum status, I don't think, but it's up there in the numbers. But 93 was when I was really getting into death metal, and I just remember seeing the music video for Rapture on Headbangers Ball, and I was just like, this is fucking cool. And so, totally love this album. Death metal classic, Covenant, Morbid Angel. On June 30th, there were 2 great albums released. One of them I do not have on vinyl. Individual Thought Patterns from Death, the 4th Death album, I believe. My favorite Death album. Why do I not have it on vinyl? Because the reissued, remastered version sounds like complete shit. I will not fork over any money unless I can find an affordable original or somebody actually just does a repressing of the original fucking album. I know that I'm nitpicking, but some albums, the sound just gets so fucking ruined when they go through that goddamn remastering process. But we're not talking about now. We're talking about 30 years ago. And Individual Thought Patterns is a fucking amazing album. I was blown away by it when it came out. It was beyond anything I could comprehend, really. The musicianship was at a level where I wasn't even ready to understand how fucking great it was. And I think it was probably the first time I ever really heard a fretless bass. Maybe. I don't know. Did Les Claypool play fretless basses? Either way, sounds killer on this album. This whole album is killer. Death, Individual Thought Patterns. Also released on June 30th, an album that is very, very important to me and very influential to me, even though I did not hear it for another couple of years after it came out. But one of the greatest albums of all time, in my opinion, Fugazi, In on the Kill Taker, the, I think, 3rd full-length Fugazi album. And this is just banger after banger. Probably the most aggressive Fugazi album. Maybe that's why I like it so much, but it really sort of opened my mind. Now, mind you, this was probably around 96 that I finally really heard this album, but it really set me on my path of I think I know the kind of music I want to make and the kind of band I want to be in, because I'm not good enough to play metal, but this shit really spoke to me. And guys, we did a cranked and ranked on Fugazi if you want to hear me talk at length about how much I love this band and this album. So there you go. In on the Kill Taker. All right, so that's all the albums I want to talk about. But before I go, let's talk about a couple of VHS releases from June of 1993. And these came out, I believe, on the same exact day. Guns N' Roses Making Fucking Videos Part 1 and Part 2. Part 1 is an hour-long documentary on the making of the Don't Cry video, and this one is an hour-long documentary on the making of November Rain. Honestly, I think these are very interesting videos because it really shows you the weight and importance that music videos held in the early 90s. And they were big deals when they premiered, and people watched them all the time, and people talked about them, and they made making of videos about the making of music videos, because that's how big of a deal they were. Especially these, they were, huge, expensive videos. But it's a cool nostalgia thing, really, but also it's a glimpse into that time of, Guns N' Roses were huge, music videos were huge. I guess Guns N' Roses are still huge, in some circles. But, yeah. These came out in June, and they're a lot of fun. If you haven't seen them, I'm sure they're probably somewhere on YouTube. Okay, that is it for June of 1993. As usual, if there are other things that happened or came out in June of 93 that you want to talk about, do that down in the comments. And of course, I will see you very soon with a different video, but when it comes to this series, I will see you all again next month.